What's up, ladies and gentlemen of Luca Nation? Wanted to jump on here. We're gonna have an awesome Friday episode for you guys. Cage has a monster day, just a stacked day of content creation. So I think we're gonna get some good stuff. Good stuff here. It's like an artist in the lab all day, and we get to kind of kind of have an episode here in between this. This is gonna be good. Cage. So Luca Nation, this morning, Cage calls me with a buying opportunity. And I wanted to kind of discuss this here on today's episode because you're going to see it on Cardboard Relevant and you're going to love it. But I think this is what separates us from the other podcasts, the other content creators out there. And, I was on this forum for like 20 years. It was called Covers. I don't know if you ever heard of it. And 99% of the people on there are fishing for free plays. But there's 1%, and they're looking for an edge. They're looking for a different way to look at the market. And I think that's really what separates people, that come in, they make some money and they burn out versus the people that learn how to stay in the hobby and look for edges. And this today, in my opinion, is the way that you guys have to learn how to think. So I'm really excited that Cage called me this morning to discuss it. You're going to see the Cardboard Relevant, and we're going to discuss it on today's episode because it's that valuable. So, Cage, I don't want to even take it away from you. So talk to me.
All right. So
how do you...
Yeah. So, listen, you know what it is? It's funny how these things kind of come up. And, every once in a while, you kind of take a step back and see what you're putting your money into, right? I think that's an important thing, right? From a diversification standpoint, from a where am I investing standpoint, is it still makes sense to invest the way that I was investing? And today's analysis was, I'm on Top Shot, right? And this is not going to be a Top Shot episode. It's not a Top Shot play, but I'm using this as an example, right? Obviously, I have some capital in Top Shot. You guys have all heard of that. And recently I've been telling people to buy LeBron's cheapest moments, they've ranged anywhere from 70 to 100, 110, whatever the heck it is.
It's a marketplace dynamics episode, yeah. And Top Shot's a good place to notice them.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, right. So I started thinking to myself, all right, I've now amassed a bunch of these. Let's say, $75 average. That'll be what we're using, right? So in my brain, I'm saying to myself, is this a good use of $75 going forward? And more importantly, from an investment standpoint, would I rather take some of those $75 LeBron moments and put them in something else at that range, right? And you start to reassess where you're deploying your capital and where you're going to have things, money-wise. And I said to myself, all right, I think there are probably better places, not quick flips, not, hey, I'm going to double this next week. We talk about those, guys who are going to be in the playoffs, rookies who you can speculate on the whole deal, but safer. You don't get much safer than LeBron, but a LeBron NFT might not be what you'd consider blue chip. So
you ask yourself, what can $75 buy in today's market?
Pretty much. Right?
Like,
you could buy volumes of them, but pretty much like $75. And more importantly, should I be putting the $75 again in the same thing? Is that still the value that I thought it was when I was initially investing, or should I be levering out of it, right? So, as you mentioned, it's also part of Cardboard Relevant today. But what I started thinking about were, things that will remain, quote, relevant over time. Because this was a Cardboard Relevant idea, right? And it's we've had so many people on who invest in so many things, right? And from Nat Turner to Spinatron to whoever else we have on, a lot of the common threads are, people are investing in GOATs, right? And they were sticking to the GOATs. They bought LeBron before he was $1 million card, right? Or when they were investing in the mid 90s to late 90s, they loved Kobe, right? And that Kobe thing, if you were to pull out, they do this with with investment portfolios, right? They say, okay, let's rank the the guys who are picking the mutual funds, you name it. What are the common holdings in the best performers for the year? Who did the best against the market? And they'll look, okay, well, this guy had Moderna in it, and the vaccine. This guy, so what are the common holdings in the most successful ones? If we were to do that in the people who have been most successul in the hobby the last 2 years, Kobe would have to be a holder,
Kobe,
right?
LeBron, Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan. So, but Kobe especially, because the people who are investing now, that was their guy. And why that's important for me was I was not a Kobe guy. Like, I just wasn't, right? And I never got into Kobe. I didn't have Kobe rookie. I didn't buy into the Kobe stuff. And I thought Kobe stuff was so overpriced. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And, obviously Kobe's untimely demise impacted his market. And what I noticed...
But you thought he was overpriced because he has so much supply, right?
Well, that's the part, right? with the auto, I was like, all right, I can't believe people are running these up. I mean, I know there's not going to be any more, but there was still so much of this stuff, right? But what I noticed is it doesn't.
What's the auto floor now? What's the auto floor?
I would say $1,000. If you went on eBay and just write Kobe auto, like you might be able to get some like knockoff style, auto or a bad ink or something like that. But any good auto, you're looking at, 4 figures, and any kind of decent thing, you're looking at significantly more than that. Go ahead.
18 months ago, what was a Kobe auto?
Oh, you could get them.
18 months ago. I say 18 months ago, Cage shows me his soda.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not taking a sip, man. I told you I was outside running around with the kids before this episode. I gotta replenish the caffeine here. I got the Diet Dr. Pepper.
18 months ago. Cheers.
So cheers. 18 months ago, forget about it. You could buy, for $1,000, you could buy multiple Kobe autos. You could buy probably 5 of them. You know what I mean? Especially some of the more recent, like Panini ones that were out there, because everybody just expected every year they were going to continue to churn out more, and that's clearly not going to be the case.
So what you're hearing here, Luca Nation, is Kobe autos have found a new floor, where they're not going to go below 1,000, 1,500.
People will scoop those up, and over time, as people bring those into their collection, that supply that's out there that initially was a big supply and justified a certain price has now justified a higher price because the supply is getting less, and they're finding their way into collections where people are keeping them, right? People are holding them, and I think soon that floor, now it's not going to double next month or next week or in the next 2 months, but people who want to have a Kobe auto, myself included, I went out and bought Kobe autos myself. I did. I wanted it on card. I had like specific stuff that I wanted. I went out and bought it also, and probably paid more than I ever thought I'd pay for a Kobe auto. But people will want those in their collections, and the floor will continue to climb on Kobe autographs. And what you're seeing also is people start to move into other Kobe products, like Kobe game tickets, a play you gave, which I wish I would have listened to, and I didn't, and I should have. I wish I had one of those in my collection.
It's kind of rewarding, though, Cage, because, and we talked about this in the beginning episodes, not so much in the later ones, and we'll get back to the Cage's strategy. But like when our community shows us that they capitalized, it almost feels like I did. In that sense, like it feels good. It actually feels better. So I love it when you guys say like, hey, Andrew, or hey, Cage, I bought into this play and this is how it played out. We love those stories.
Yeah, listen, we graded one for somebody. Remember, one of the Luca Nation subbed the last Kobe final game ticket through us. So
it was worth jumping through all those hoops, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. So Kobe, I started layering that thought process on. Okay, well, most of our listeners are not going to be buying a Kobe auto for thousands of dollars, right? And I was thinking the whole time, we had Adam Rips on, one of our favorites, and he was holding up memorabilia. People are starting to move more into memorabilia, ticket stubs, that kind of stuff, right? I said, all right, well, what can the common collector get a piece of Kobe with that's got some legitimate tie, nostalgia? It's still something of Kobe. And even though the supply is probably high, just like auto supply I thought was high, that supply is going to dwindle as people grab 1, 2, or 10 and bring it into their collection. And they're still attainable now, but it's one of those things that the floor is just going to move up on. And I do not buy this if you're expecting it to double next week, because there's just going to be a lot of them, but you're going to start to see the supply kind of die down. So my thought was Kobe game used relic cards, not autos because they're going to be expensive, but cards that have a piece of a Kobe game used jersey in it, right? Purple one if you like it, a white one, an orange. I mean, a gold one, whatever colors you want.
I can't believe you didn't just tie in the purple to me.
Yeah. So I mean, there are all-star jerseys. There are a whole bunch of different kinds of jerseys. So, and that leads me, by the way, into just a kind of a guidance on this. One of the cool, because if you're going to take this and you're going to look at him, one of the cool things about Kobe is he played for such a long time and over such a vast difference in card collecting that you have Panini, you have Topps, you have Upper Deck, there are Bowman autos, there are Skybox autos, there are Fleer autos, there are license.
Not autos, patch.
Patch, excuse me, not autos, patch, excuse me, relics. See, I'm even myself. So there are a ton of these jersey piece cards for Kobe and license stuff. Try to stick with license first. You're gonna notice, when you start looking at this, wow, that's a cool one where he's paired up with Dominique Wilkins. Not a license card. You'll see the one I'm talking about. It's cool. I was like, whoa, that was nice, but no. Also, read the back of the cards, because they will say right on them if they are game used, if they're worn in a game. Some of them will say it was worn in an All-Star game. Some of them will say that it is either event worn or it's like a warm-up worn. I would say those are probably less valuable. I mean, still warm, but you probably would rather have a card where it's his game used jersey than a shirt that he wore to shoot around in, or a shirt that he wore when he visited Panini's factory and they cut it off after he wore it for 2 seconds. So you want something game worn, and it says it right there on the back of the card. But what I found was $50, $60, $65, $70, $75. They're plentiful. And you can find the ones in your style, what you like, what kind of card you like, whether you like shiny, whether you like flashy, a big piece of card, small piece, a big piece of relic, a small piece of relic, multicolors. Tricolor. There's no shortage of this out there now, but I think that is something that will change because there is no shortage of Kobe fan, right? And there are Kobe fans coming into it. My son's a Kobe fan. You know what I mean? The kids are Kobe fans. Everybody wants a Kobe thing. Everybody wants something with Kobe. And I think this provides like the next best thing to those autos, which in the price range that they're getting to, it makes it pretty hard to attain a Kobe auto, a licensed Kobe auto.
I would say game worn jersey is up there as equally cool. Like, I would go for game worn jersey and a cool picture, a cool aesthetic image. Doesn't have to be rookie. I don't think it has to be numbered. I just think a cool game worn jersey, not like a pregame or warm up, and a cool aesthetic image. I think you're set because it's 60, 70, like you said, $75.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and my thought with this, right, is people are like, oh, relic cards, you can always get more supply. They can make Kobe relic cards even as long as they want. But who's cutting up a Kobe jersey, game used jersey, to give to Panini or Topps to make more cards? Nobody. That'll be a pretty stupid use of a Kobe game worn jersey.
I think it'd be easier because I think they still have signed stickers from Kobe. I think it'd be easier to make more autos of Kobe than it would game worn jerseys.
So,
is that fair?
I mean, maybe. I think they probably have used most of their autos with Kobe, but yeah, I'm sure there's some stickers out there. I'm sure there's still some way of doing the the autograph. I would obviously.
Doesn't Panini just have sheets of autos? I would imagine that they have sheets of player autos, or do you think they go after a specific amount year over year?
With Kobe, a lot of redemptions, and with Kobe, they probably assume they'd be able to get more from him. And if you remember, they did that snakeskin, like the Kobe packs, as redemptions in place of Kobe autographs. So obviously they didn't have enough to meet the redemptions that were already out there. Remember, they gave those packs. The cards were numbered to 8 to 24. Weird little mosaic style. They had like snakes.
I would think the reason, and maybe the only reason that Panini uses stickers is so that they could be prepared for any event like this. Like I would think that they would have stickers in like kind of their inventory so that they could use it at any time. It's surprising that they would run out.
Well, I mean, they don't have autos enough. That's why redemption's there, because they don't have just a backlog of stickers to use on people. They figure they'll get them when they need them, and they can always roll them out. Especially somebody like Kobe, who had. But
if you're not gonna have stickers kind of saved up, but just have on card autos then.
Yeah, well, listen, but some people it's hard to get auto signed, and then if you're trying to do like duels and stuff like that, it's difficult to do that and get two guys in the same place and sign them and you name it. But just to put a point on this, and then I sure. It's funny, as you're talking, it made me think of something that I'd like to mention to Luca Nation also, because it's on brand. Is guys, listen, this is not a play that I think he is going to triple. And I don't think a relic card of him or a gear card, a jersey card is something that is going to ever catch up to an auto card. It's just not. But it's a cool alternate play. It's fun to search these. There are bargains because people don't list them the same way. Some people call them jersey cards. Some people call them game-worn cards. Some people call them relic cards. Some people call them patch cards. So you can search Kobe patch, Kobe jersey, Kobe relic, and you might find one that people didn't see, one that's cheap. And
I kind of throwaway cards in Prism too. Like it was a card that I didn't even want.
Yeah, well, now with Kobe, you probably still want it, right? Because people, especially the other thing that went into this was people are grading base cards. Like I would put this a step above a base card. You know what I mean? And people are paying significant money for graded base cards. So I'm not saying grade these. I mean, maybe if you find one that looks real nice, of course you can. I wouldn't pay too much to get them graded, but it's a cool thing to have. I'm not going to be able to have a Kobe game worn jersey, but I might be able to buy a couple pieces of one. You know what I mean? Which I think it's like a next best thing. So there's ways to find bargains, there's ways to do. But what's funny about it is pick one that you like. So I haven't bought one of these yet, but I'm going to. So everybody rush to go get them. You know, when I told Andrew about this morning, he's like, "What about that cool one? Look at this, Beam Team." And I'm like, "There's a Beam Team jersey card of Kobe. I mean, they're not cheap, but you know, that's a cool thing. It's like a throwback card with his jersey on it. I mean, like that's like there are some really cool looking, you know, pieces out there. Find one that you like, and I think it's just a cool blue chip staple to throw in your collection for the price of buying like a Devontae Graham card now. You know what I mean? You know, or any of these, you know, rookies who are out now. You know, why not grab a piece of Kobe's game worn jersey? The aside that I was going to get to before I let you get into your play is Luka. We announced, you know, because Luka Nation. Luka signed a deal with Panini, right? It's Luka doing only Panini, you know, you name it. Now, basketball Panini anyway, right? So, you know, autographs and whatnot. I guess he probably wasn't going to do show signings. What do you think about this? Because the first concern that I had was, is he just going to sign everything? Like, is this guy now just basically, he's signing this contract, he's getting paid, and you're going to have basically a Luka auto for every girl, boy, man, woman, giraffe in the world. And, you know, we're just going to see a glut of Luka autos. And does that impact, you know, the Luka auto market?
If his mom signed autos and no one cares, I don't know what can impact the Luka auto market. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. No, Luka's going to be a star. Luka's going to be around this league for a while. I'm not sure. I've never been an auto collector. I admire autos, but I really struggle to pull kind of add them to my collection. I think it's because, and it's along the lines of what you just said. When you're trading, you want apples to apples, and autos are inherently apples to oranges. You know, same with the relic cards. I was going to say, like, what's cool about relic cards is it's really hard to compare them. So you can kind of negotiate and find deals that are under the table that base cards won't provide, because base cards, you know what they go for. It's just a set market price. I'm not sure. I have no take on the Luka auto thing. I don't even know how those deals work, to be fair. Like, so when you sign a deal, is it just the assumption that you're going to sign everything?
Well, I think the reason they're paying for it is because you could potentially see Luka sign with somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, LeBron does not sign with Panini, right? Like, there are no Luka.
There's also not a lot of upper deck LeBron autos out there.
Right. But because he signed with that, because they pay him that, he does not sign the other stuff. So I guess the thought being, I don't know how long the contract's for, but if let's just say, hypothetically, next year the NBA gives the license back to Topps and Panini is not doing licensed cards, Luka would not have a Topps card. Or not a Topps auto, the same way that LeBron doesn't have an auto in this product. So it could actually, if it switches, make it scarce. Or the flip side is you'd have like non-card style, you know, or non-licensed Luka autos. You know, like who was it who mentioned it to us? Who was it who collected those hardwood, right? The hardwood autos. Was it Mount Rushmore maybe, or I forget? But somebody who we had on was collecting the upper deck hardwood cards.
I had one actually. I bought it at LCS for $25. That's actually it was a Kobe hardwood actually one, but it's not like it's like. Well, I shouldn't have sold it, is what I'm thinking now. So what you're actually saying here is be on the lookout in the next 12 to whenever it happens. If Topps gets the NBA license, those Luka Prism autos should be significantly higher than the base.
Well, I mean, listen, who knows what's going to happen? There's no even rumor mill that Panini is going to lose basketball. But yes, if Topps got basketball or Upper Deck got basketball, the thought would be, of course, you'd see a lot more LeBron autos in Upper Deck basketball product, right? And you'd see less Luka in that product. You see no Luka because Luka is now signed to only be with Panini.
But how do those licenses, like, is it just like behind closed doors that one day they'll just announce like, hey, we give the license to...
Oh, I'm sure there's probably a bidding process.
Do you know how often it comes up?
I'm sure they have contracts, you know, and some sports it's 1 year, some sports it's multi-year. So... You know, Panini just took the UFC license. Obviously, Topps wasn't loving that, right? So they do change. I think Panini Prism UFC comes out next week. Wow. I'll be opening a box with Ian.
You love Panini Prism UFC. So I'm gonna have a little dialogue. This is gonna be fun. So we are officially at that point in the NBA season where we were last August when the bubble started. And what I love to do is I love to pay attention to patterns and pattern recognition and learn from history. And I think we're going to start seeing the NBA market behave in similar ways. What were some of your highlights? Like, what did you remember from the bubble, NBA bubble in August of 2020? Besides your amazing Jordan Clear pickup.
The Suns played crazy ball. Devin Booker started to really ball out, right? Mm-hmm. Lillard had some really big games as well in there. I remember going in thinking that Ja was a nice play because the Grizzlies had kind of like the inside line on the, making the playoffs. They were in the lead, but then of course, like the way they made that system, it just fell in and collapsed on top of the Grizzlies. I remember, at the time I was a Devontae guy, and I'm like, all right, Trae, Devontae, guys who I was investing money in are not even going to make it into the bubble, let alone into the playoffs. And
Tyler Hero going off.
We did a whole episode about Bubble Baisley. Remember about Darius Baisley? We did a whole episode about that. It was a different experience with the bubble, right? Limited amount of teams. But you're right, though. We're at about this time. You know what I mean? We're at about that time. And
there's two things I remember.
Sure.
Two things I remember. Prospects that aren't going to make the playoffs, but you could see that they have a bright future. That was one thing. And the card hobby loved those. And then guys like Luka, guys that, were kind of thoroughbred 1-2s on the team that were going to play in the playoffs, and you had promise with them. So those were the two things, those two categories. And I'm going to bite, and I'll let you get back to what you're going to say in a second here, Cage. I'm going to bite. I think Trey Prism is way too cheap for where he's going to be in the next few weeks.
This is what we just talked about this. I love it. I think you're right.
Think about this, guys. The East is up for grabs. And we all know that. It depends on health. It really depends on health. It depends on seeding. It's going to be a freaking fight. I think any of those teams, if you saw them in the Eastern Conference Finals, you wouldn't be surprised. You saw Milwaukee versus the Hawks. Would you be that surprised? Sixers, Nets. Would you be that surprised? Nets haven't been healthy at all. Why are we assuming that they just have a clear shot to the finals? Harden just hurt his hamstring. Durant's been injured all year. Kyrie's a beast. He's some watching him play is incredible, but he can't. So why are we just assuming that the Nets are going to have a clear shot? But the point is, Trey's injured. His cards, the Prism base is $380. I saw one listed on eBay, meaning you could get it in bulk for $350, $325.
Maybe even less.
In deals, maybe even less. And you have a guy that his team's in the playoffs, and they have a good team. If you guys watch Bojan Bogdanovic, look at his 3-point percentage. He shoots over 42% from three. That's a good team. Capella's finding his own. Danilo Gallinari is good. That's a team that can make a run. And the only thing, in my opinion, that's been holding them back is Trey's been playing at 80%. If, and this is why we bet, right? Like no one ever knows, but if he does, get to 85, 90, 95% of where he could play, this team's dangerous and his card should not be $300. Now, let's say he doesn't get to 80%. What does this card fall to? $250? Is it going to be the same as a Tyler Hero card? It's just not. So you have this very little downside and you have this tremendous upside, and that's why I'm playing it. And I think it's a no-brainer if you just look back at the patterns of last year. And if I'll add one little cherry on top, who's the freshest team out there? It's the Hawks. They weren't in the bubble last year. They had basically 12 months to prepare for this. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice on Mr. Trae Young.
So Trae Young is your play today?
Yeah, the Trae Young Prism. The Prism base. That's it. Not the silver, no other card, just the Prism base. If it works, if he plays well, you sell into strength, you double your money. It's a $500-$600 card if he plays well, and if that Hawks team starts to click come playoff time.
So I got a message. You'll forgive me, YouTube world. We got a message today, and I wanted to read it. And it's on point. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste everybody's time with this. So hopefully it doesn't take me too long to find this. But it was about Trae, and it was about how he's a good place to go with it. I don't want to take too long on this off camera here. I'm trying to find the message.
Cage, our community supports us. The message is we get them more and more every day, and it means the world to us because. I mean, we hop on here every day, and of course there is new material, there is new news, there is new content that happens every day in the sports card hobby, but we want to bring you things that are valuable, and it's not always super simple. So when you guys feed us material and show us some angles that we may not be seeing, I mean, it means the world to us. And we have, I mean, I could truthfully say we're really approaching that 1,000 true fans that Cage and I have been talking about since basically day one, where we have a community that supports each other. That, you know, it was funny. I think today Prism boxes came out and they were all sharing, you know, go here, or have you seen, there's an opportunity to get Prism boxes here, or did you see these new rules that Target came out with? That's what it's all about. So I don't care if you spend an hour looking for the message, Cage, because the messages, the feedback, the comments, the support, the people that come on the YouTube lives and ask us questions, that's what it's all about. So I absolutely love it. With that, guys, I'll report some news.
Listen,
we had a record week. We had a record week. Week over week, our podcast has been growing. And Spotify listens, Apple listens, the YouTube views. We have highlights on our YouTube channel. I mean, these last few weeks, we've basically doubled our viewership, and it's incredible. And think about it. We don't run sponsored ads. We don't really market or promote. All we do is put out content, and you guys share it. You share it to your story. You tag a friend. You let others know that what we're doing, and that's how we've grown. Word of mouth, 100%, and we appreciate that. We love that so much.
So, you know, I can't find it, so please claim it if it's yours. But somebody wrote and said the Trae play was, you know, the way to go, and mentioned that.
Can't find that only fans link you keep getting. I'm telling you, don't subscribe. Do a free trial is the way to go. You don't need the 3-month subscription.
I have my.
You don't know where the flavor of
I have my own, man. People pay me. People pay me.
And they can pay with Cage coin.
They pay with Cage coin for this lusciousness. So the point that we layer on the Trae, that his playoffs, the whole deal was that he plays in Atlanta. It's like you know, there was a hip hop addition to it, and he mentioned you know, like that it was basically like you know, he was he's in like a rap culture, you name it, that he's relevant with people. And you know, like the guy doesn't play for Barca. You know, my favorite soccer team, the Barca Lounge.
The guy's scared of birds, man. But the guy is not. He is not tuned into
Barca. No, so he mentioned someone who sits courtside at the Atlanta games. I think his name is Jose Cuervo. Quavo, right? So, so anyway, the point being, he says that Trae stays relevant outside of it, and he even said at some point he's going to end up in a rap song. You're going to have Trae mention, "Oh, I'm hitting buckets like Trae," or something like that. He's going to stay relevant on.
Trae needs to hit buckets for people to say that. He's shooting like 42% from 2. I was surprised. Quavo. Jose Quavo. Is that it? I think most people know who. I think most people know who you're talking about. I'm not going to repeat it. We're going to let that go. Cage is much more of a movie guy. He doesn't listen to music. I actually asked him. I was like, "What's your?" He doesn't listen to music. It's fascinating. He just watches movies. So this guy is one of a kind.
Movie soundtracks. That's.
You want to let people know who our guest is tonight and what you'll be doing with double coverage, and then we'll wrap.
Sure. So stay tuned for a couple of fun things, right? I hope you guys like Cardboard Relevant. And, you know, if you do, we'll keep doing it. If you don't, we won't.
They only like it when you wear a dress shirt. And you wear
I haven't seen that one yet, I don't think. So, but, you know, I'll post that Cardboard Relevant up. We're going to do one of those every day. And if you have topics, I mean, I have used messages from folks to create, you know, topics already. So if you have topics, please let us know. You know, we definitely appreciate that. And let me know. If you hate it, we'll stop. As you noticed, my camera's a little more still today. So I pay attention to your comments, right? If people don't want me a little shaky camera because I'm using the phone, it's great.
Cage has a negativity bias. He could get 100 positive comments, but the one negative one, he might reread that 17 times.
I read all the negatives, and it makes me very upset. I want to go cry in the corner. So that's that, right? And stay tuned for some funny content our guys made about my Barca stuff. That was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not a cooler. Is that how you say a cooler? Like a fan of the Barca team? A cooler? Like COOLER? A cooler?
All right, he's not going to preview this. We have an awesome guest coming up. It's going to be releasing over the weekend. He's a coach in the National Football League. I'll leave it like that. And then we have.
He's a big Pokemon collector who's coming out. He's got a big Pokemon auction coming up with PWCC next week. So we're going to let him promote his auctions. I'm going to talk to him and find out, how we get into Pokemon. And yes, the other thing.
You know who was drafted by the Eagles?
Who was drafted by the Eagles?
My Birds.
Nice. I did not know that. We'll get into it with him. That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. That'll be some fun.
And then Cage is doing an episode with double coverage. It's going to be fun. It'll be aired a little bit later. It's a new segment we're doing. Stay tuned.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to tell me if you guys like this one also. So please, we'll give you some info about it. It's going to be called The Come Up with Cage. We're going to, and guys, if you're listening to this and you think you qualify, you think this is a good idea for you, you got any ideas of who we should bring on? Basically, it's people who are us a couple of months ago, almost a year ago, who, we were making our own way in this world of content. We have no generous benefactor. We just have you, and that's all we need. We've built ourselves on the backs of Luca Nation.
Are you talking to me right now? Am I the generous benefactor?
Yeah, you're the generous in my butt. But guys, nobody gave us a leg up, and you know what? It would have been helpful. I got to tell you, my co-host here. Now we are turning down guests every day. It used to be, who's going to be the guest this week? We have more listens in the first 10 minutes after we drop an episode than we had it in a week when we first started. Okay, so it's nice, it's great, and we love every single one of you for doing that. We continue to grow, but what we'd like to do as part of our value proposition, we want to provide value to Luca Nation, but I think part of that value is part of Luca Nation are content builders. Whether it's your Instagram page, whether it's your breaking page that you're trying to build up, whether it's anything, it's a new app that you're trying to develop or you want to get feedback on it, or whether you are doing a podcast. At first, for folks that came on, they got my attention by calling me a lemon of the week, or lemon if they, using their stuff. And we all know
how long ago that feels when you and LeBron James had a Twitter grudge.
Yeah, man. So me and Bron, but they did it respectfully. They got my attention, and I said, these guys double coverage. I watch a lot of stuff. I watch some breaks they do, and I said, let's do an episode with them and get them out there. And we're going to do that. That'll be released shortly. And we're going to try to do that weekly, where I'll bring on somebody who is coming up in our hobby, some sort of content, you name it, and try to introduce them to Luca Nation. And hopefully you guys like them and give them a follow. So that's stuff that's on the horizon.
Boy. This guy is long-winded.
Dude, you said energy. I'm Frank the Tank. We're going to go streaking through the quad. Everybody's doing it.
Jeez, guy. Hold the camera still. Love you, Luca Nation. We're going to have an awesome weekend together. We're going to be doing another Coffee with Cage. We got tons of stuff coming up. We love you guys.
Take care, everybody.